כן.
כן?
תנו רבנן, כל אלו שאמרו, sorry? דף כ"א עמוד א' first line. תנו רבנן, that should be a bit easier. כל אלו שאמרו, אין מדליקים בהם בשבת, all of the least that you're not allowed to use it as a candle on Shabbat, yet, אבל עושים מהם מדורה, but to make a bonfire it's מותר. בין להתחמם כנגדה, either to warm up in front of it, בין להשתמש לאורה, either to use its light, בין על גבי קרקע, either it's sitting on the ground, בין על גבי קירה, it's sitting on the stove, ולא אסרו, the only prohibit, אלא לעשות מהם פתילה לנר בלבד, the only prohibit to make a wick for the candle, but using it סתם in a bonfire or fire pit or anything, it's מותר. ולא בשמן קיק, not the oil of קיק. מהי שמן קיק? Not supposed to kick it. So what's שמן קיק? אמר שמואל, שמואל said, שאלתינו לכל נחותי, מהי שמן קיק? What's שמן קיק? אמר שמואל, שאלתינו לכל נחותי ימה. I was asking for all those who are going in the oceans, ואמרו, and they told me, עוף אחד יש בקרחי הים, there is one type of birds in the middle of the ocean, וקיק שמו, it's called קיק, and it's oil, that's the oil, שמן קיק, it's the oil that comes from this bird, it's called קיק. That's the opinion of שמואל. רבי יצחק ברד רבידה אמר, משחה דקזה, talking about the shemen that oil they making from grape seeds. Rish Lakish אמר, קיקיון דיונה. Yonah had a special tree that grew on top of him when he was resting. So this kikayon, they make oil out of it. אמר רבי בר חנא, לדידי חזי לי קיקיון דיונה. I saw the קיקיון דיונה. ולצלולי ודמי, he looks like a barn tree. ומדפשקי רבי, he grows by the water. והפון חנות עמד לנטה, they putting it on top of the stores because it has good smell. ומפרצדוי עבדם ישחה from his seed, they makes oil. ובאנפוי, and under his ענפים, איך אומרים ענפים? branches, נייכן כל בריחה דמערב, all of the sick people in Eretz Israel, they are laying on it because it makes very good shade, same thing I was making for הנביא, נו? יונה הנביא. אמר רבא, פתילות שאמרו חכמים, אין מדליקים בהם בשבת, all of the weeks חכמים prohibit said not to light with on Shabbat. Why? מפני שהאור מסכסכת בהם, because the light is flickering in it. שמנים שאמרו חכמים, אוהל חכמים said, אין מדליקים בהם בשבת, דינת עלת עלת בתתן שבת, מפני שאין נמשכים אחר הפתילה. The oil דינת עלת בתתן שבת, because it doesn't flow through the wick. בואי מיני אביי מרבה, אביי asked Rabbi the following question. שמנים שאמרו חכמים, אין מדליקים בהם בשבת, all of the oil is not allowed to light with on Shabbat, מהו שייתן לתוכן שמן כלשהו וידליק? Can he mix it with another type of kosher oil and light with it together? מי גזרינן, do we make a decree, דין מעטי להדלוקה בעיניו? Are we worried that it might gonna light but they prohibit oil by itself? Or no, or we are not worried it's going to light by prohibit oil by itself. So can you mix a good oil with a bad oil together and then it's okay? אמר לי, אין מדליקים, you're not allowed to light with. My time, what's the reason? לפי שאין מדליקים, because you're not allowed to light. So since you're not allowed with the bad oil, if you permit to light with a mix with a good oil, people might eventually going to light with a bad oil. So it's a גזירה that חכמים made. ראיתי ויעשתם a question, כרך דבר שמדליקים בו, if he braid or he wrap, דבר שמדליקים בו על גבי דבר שאין מדליקים בו. If you use a type of a wick that you're allowed to light with, on top of a wick you're not allowed to light with. So this is adding bad and good. אין מדליקים בו, you're not allowed to light with it. אמר רב שמעון גמליאל, שבלת טאבה in my father's house, היו כורכים פתילה על גבי אגוז, they used to surround the wick on top of a walnut, even though it's not a flammable material, it's not a wick. ומדליקים, and they used to light with it. קטנים here you see that they were lighting with something good on top of something bad. We see by Rabban Gamliel house, they were lighting with something good on top of something bad. אמר לי, he told them, הדמות פתלי מרבי שמעון גמליאל, instead of asking me from Rabbi Shimon Gamliel, סייעינו מתנקמה, prove me, I have a right from Tanakama, because the Tanakama, the first Tana said, you're not allowed to do it. Rabban Shimon Gamliel said that they used to do it. So why are you asking me a question from Rabban Shimon Gamliel instead of giving me a support from the first Tana, Tanakama? The Gemara says, "Halo kashi maaseh Rav," because he asked him, "I have a Rav. I have a story that's what they did halacha lemaaseh." So based on that story, you see that they mix bad with good, and it was fine. You said you're not allowed, and madlikim, you don't mix bad with good, and here we see you're allowed to mix bad with good. Gemara says, "Mikom makom kashye," you have a question. Gemara says, "My love isn't when they used to wrap the good on a walnut shell. My love leadlik, in order to light with the walnut shell. So that means they use bad wick and they surround it with a good wick. The Gemara says, "Lo lehakpot." The reason they put a walnut, not to use it as part of the flammable material, rather to give support to the wick that it should float well in the oil. So it's not that they mix two items together, but it just support. Yeah, it's not bad and good. Just support the wick. The Gemara says, "Ila akpot." It was just for support. My time the Tanakame. What's the reason Tanakama said it was asur? If he's not mixing, he's just supporting it by the walnut. Why it's asur? The Gemara says you're right. Rather, kula Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. All of our braita is all Rabbi Shimon Gamliel. V'chisur mechzera. It's missing the portion. V'hachiktani. This is what you have to read this beraita. Karach davar shemadlikim bo if you wrap something that you light with. Al gabe davar shemadlikim bo on top of wick that you don't light with it. El madlikim bo, you're not allowed to light with it. B'mei dvarim amurim, when this prohibit leadlik. If you wrapped it around another wick that both of them with an intention to lit with. Aval leakpot. If the second item was just to support, mutar. As we see, Rabban Shimon Gamliel says, "Shel beit Abba, in my father's house, ayu korchim ptila al gabe goz." They used to surround the wick on top of the walnuts for support. So you see, for support, it's mutar. Eini, the Gemara said, "I have another problem. You said you're not allowed to mix bad with good. We see in the following one that it's mutar. Ve'amar Rav Brona." Amar Rav, Ravona said by the name of Rav, Chelev mehutach, malted fat, vekirve dagim shenimochu, the intestines of the fish that were melted, and that's fat material. Adam, you can mix it. Adam noten letochan shemen kolsheu umadlik. A man can put inside of it shemen, oil, and light it. So those two items not allowed to be lit with. Olive malted fat and malted fish fat, both of them not allowed to use for oil. Yet if you mix it with a good oil, it's mutar. That's a kasha. How can Abaye say? How can Rabba say you're not allowed to mix bad with good? Here we see that we allowed. The Gemara answer, "Ani mimshechi be'enayu. Ve'ani lo mimshechi be'enayu." The Gemara says, "Be'emet, those melted fat and melted oil fat, it flows very well
when you mix it.
Before mixing it, even without mixing it, it flow well. If so, why it's prohibited? וגזרו רבנן על חלב מאותח משום חלב שאינו מאותח." Since regular fat is not allowed, so even melted fat, Chachamim made it gzera, a decree that is not allowed. But באמת, there is no fundamental issue with melted fat, because it flows well. The same thing, ועל קרבי דגים שנמוכו, on the fat of the fish that was melted, Chachamim made a gzera, even though it flows well, משום קרבי דגים שלא נמוכו, because of the fat of fish that wasn't melted. So באמת, this oil flows by itself smooth, and therefore it's okay to mix it with another oil. Oil that doesn't flow by itself good, you cannot mix it with another oil. This type of oil, since it was melted, it's flow by itself, you are allowed to use it with another oil. The Gemara asks, "Veligzor nami, why don't we make a gezerah that even chelev meutach, even malted fat, בקרבי דגים שנמוכו malted fish fat, שנתן לתוכם שמן, that he put oil into it, let's make a גזרה, even when he mix it with oil that should be אסור, משום חלב מאותח, וקרבי דגים שנימוכו שלא נתן לתוכן שמן. Let's make a גזרה. We know that חלב, regular fat it's אסור. regular fish fat it's אסור. We have a גזרה that melted it's also אסור. Now we said here that if you mix it with oil it's מותר. Why don't you keep the גזרה? That even if you melt it with oil, you're not allowed to use when it's melted because you might going to use it when it's not melted. The Gemara give a famous answer, which is famous principle. He gufa gzera. Melted fat, it's already one gzera. Ve'ana nikum ve'nigzor gzera legzera, and we're going to make another gzera to gzera. We say, we don't have buy one, get one by gzerot. Gzera, it's only one. Chachamim don't make gzera legzera. So since the original prohibit, it's fat. Melted, it's only gzera. If you mix it, it's gzera legzera. גזרה לגזרה, we don't do. תני רמי בר חמא. פתילות ושמנים שאמרו חכמים, all of the types of wicks and oil that חכמים said, אין מדליקים בהם בשבת, you're not allowed to light with it on Shabbat, אין מדליקים בהם במקדש, you're not allowed to use it in בייס המקדש. משום שנאמר, the pasuk says, להעלות נר תמיד. What's להעלות נר תמיד? To elevate always the fire. הוא תני לה, he said this pasuk, והוא אמר לה, he said it, he explained it, כדי שתהיה שלבת עולה מאליה. It's got to be לעלות, the fire should be going up, lit by itself, ולא שתהיה עולה על ידי דבר אחר, should not be separated to be lit with anything else. So therefore, all of the oils and wicks that prohibit for Shabbat, since it doesn't flow, doesn't light by itself well, not allowed to be used in Beit HaMikdash. The Gemara asks a question. Tnan, we said in the Mishnah, Mible'e Michnasei Kohanim. All of the clothing of the Kohanim were Kadosh. So after it went out, they didn't throw it to the garbage. They recycle it. A guy of a restaurant told me yesterday that in the catering business, first day you serve the pargiot as a roasted. Second day is a mukpat, in Chinese. Third day it's in an egg roll, and fourth day, it's a mixture, so it's levels. So the same thing, by the clothing of Beit HaMikdash, we didn't throw into the garbage. So rather first, so they took the worn out pants of the Kohanim, and they took the pants of the Kohanim, and they use it to memnehem, and from their belts, ayu mafkiim mehem, they used to open it up and make wicks out of the belts of the Kohanim and Madlikin. They used to light with it. You see, they used to light with the Kohanim. And now, what was the belt of the Kohanim? It used to be Kil'ain. It was made from Tzemer and Pishtan. And we said Pishtan is not allowed. Tzemer, wool, it's not allowed. Yet they used it to light in Beit HaMikdash. You said, but you're not allowed to light with it in Beit HaMikdash. What asur in Shabbat? You're not allowed to light in Beit HaMikdash. The Gemara answer lo, Simchat Beit HaShoeva, shiny. This is Simchat Beit HaShoeva. When it's Simchat Beit HaShoeva, there were big jars of oil and big clothing of wicks. And over there was an outside light for the dancing. But when we said it's asur, we're referring to the actual, like the menorah. The menorah, it's asur. Tashma. The Gemara says we have another problem. The Tani Rabba Bar Matna, Bigdei Keuna Shebalu, the clothing of the Kohanim, they weren't out, Mafkin otam, they open it up, Ume'en hayu osim ptilot lamikdash. They used to make out of it wicks to Belamikdash itself. My love, the kilaim isn't the material of kilaim, which is made out of wool and linen, Beit HaMikdash, and they made it with Mutar Kohanim, and they made it for Beit HaMikdash. And you see that even they use wool in Beit HaMikdash, and when still it's prohibited for Shabbat. But you said what's prohibited for Shabbat? When is the Beit HaMikdash? The one says, lo, the boot. We're talking about the one of meshi, the one of silk. Boot. The one of silk was used in Beit HaMikdash. But the regular one, we're not allowed to use. The wool one didn't use in the menorah. Only the boots. Only the one made out of silk.